I discovered a skinwalker at 3 a.m. in an abandoned building. 5 haunting true stories that shocked me. The clock struck 3. The witching hour. The time when shapes twist, whispers echo, and shadows dance, teasing the edges of sanity. Alone in that derelict building, the air thickened. Each breath felt like a gulp of ice-cold water. I could feel a presence. Something beyond the realm of the living lurked just out of sight. An echo of an ancient tale that whispered Skinwalker, Skinwalker. Skinwalker, what was supposed to be a harmless late-night exploration, turned into a fever dream of dread. The old building creaked like a ship sinking underwater. Paint peeled off the walls and pooled on the floor like a forgotten memory. Graffiti screamed, "Get out!" Who had left these warnings? I felt a knot twist in my stomach, a shiver crawling down my spine. An unsettling thought bubbled up inside me. What if I wasn't alone? And then I heard it. A soft scraping sound, like fingernails on wood, coming from the corner room. My heart raced, thumping against my ribcage like a wild animal trapped in a cage. I picked up my flashlight, its beam slicing through the oppressive darkness. The light flickered, casting eerie shadows that made the ghosts of my imagination dance. I approached the door, each step feeling heavier than the last. Could it be the stories? The legends of skinwalkers were rooted deeply in folklore. What if they were true? Every breath slowed. The air felt charged, crackling like electricity. I felt a ripple of fear, my hands trembling as I reached for the knob. Just as I was about to turn it, I remembered a voice in my head. My friend had warned me. Don't let them see you. They can wear the skins of anything. Panic surged. Footsteps echoed in the hall behind me. I spun around, and there it was, a figure shifting in the shadows, its eyes glowing like 2 coals in the dark. Was it human? Was it something else? Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Breath caught in my throat. I squinted against the darkness, willing myself to believe it was just a trick of the light. But when it stepped into the beam of my flashlight, blood ran cold in my veins. There it was, a grotesque mockery of a creature, its limbs bending in unnatural angles, skin stretched too tight over its skeletal frame. A chilling laugh rippled from its throat, raw and echoing, like nails raking across a chalkboard. I stumbled back, my heart racing, searching for an exit. But the space around me twisted. The windows had vanished. Darkness encased me. In that moment, my mind seized a question too terrible to voice. Would I be the next storyteller, or the next victim? What was this creature waiting for, and what horrible stories would it tell after my story ended? My legs felt like lead as I stumbled backward, trying to distance myself from that abomination. I searched frantically for something, anything, to offer protection. The flashlight flickered ominously, its glow weakening as if bowing to the darkness that surrounded me. I could still hear its laugh echoing in the corners of the room, a jarring melody that sent ice coursing through my veins. What nightmare had I wandered into? I ran my eyes over the space, my heart drumming louder than the cruel laughter. A rusted pipe protruded from the floor nearby, jagged and dangerous. It was a feeble thought, but it was the only weapon in my mind. I lunged for the pipe, grasping it tightly in my trembling hands as I turned back to face the creature. He hadn't moved. Instead, it stood there, watching me with eyes that glinted with an unsettling mix of curiosity and hunger. The air felt thick, almost liquid. Dread wrapped around me like a vice. The scrape of its nails on the ground suggested it was testing the waters, considering its next move. In that moment of charged silence, my instincts screamed at me to flee, yet my feet felt rooted to the floor. Suddenly, it took a step forward, and adrenaline surged through me. I swung the pipe, my vision blurring with panic. But the creature was quick. It dodged effortlessly, moving with an unnatural grace that sent chills cascading down my spine. My heart dropped as I felt the cold air shift, sensing its presence now right beside me. Get out, the words slipped from my lips, a desperate plea that met the walls around us. Behind it, the peeling paint seemed to ripple, as though the building itself was responding to the horror that was unfolding. The skinwalker, with limbs like a twisted marionette, tilted its head, its grin stretching impossibly wide. It was mocking me that in a moment of clarity, I turned and bolted down the corridor, fueled by fear. The fluorescent bulbs overhead flickered ominously, causing shadows to dance wildly around me. I raced past doorframes and broken furniture, skidding to a halt when I spotted an open door ahead, a possible escape. I didn't have time to ponder the odds. I dashed through the threshold. Inside, darkness engulfed me, but instinct pushed me forward. I fumbled to find the switch. The light exploded into existence, revealing an empty room but for the rot and decay, yet it felt safe. For now. I pressed my back against the wall, panting heavily. I could hear the soft shuffle of feet, echoing outside. What if that was not the only one? Panic bubbled in my chest again. Had I stumbled into a nest of them? What if they were all just outside this door, silent as stone, waiting for the right moment to pounce? I glanced around, searching desperately for another way out. The shadows outside my door grew thicker, shapes swirling. Then everything went eerily quiet. Come out, the voice came from everywhere and nowhere, deep and taunting. Don't you want to play? Couldn't breathe. The light flickered again. For a heartbeat, I was engulfed in darkness, time stretching and bending. My mind raced through fragmented thoughts. The stories I had heard, the chilling warning, the creeping realization that I might not be alone in this twisted game. I pressed my ear against the solid wood door, straining to catch any sound. It was in that suffocating silence that I heard something, a soft, shuffling sound drawing closer. Would I face it head-on, or could I slip away unseen? But the choice was made for me when the door rattled violently, the force shuddering through the wall. A deep growl followed, shaking my bones. Let us play, with my pulse pounding violently in my ears. I turned to face the room, searching for an exit, knowing I might have just become part of the story I feared. Where would the next chapter lead? Would I be able to escape, or would I fulfill the last whispered warning of the building? The sound of the rattling door grew louder, reverberating through the room like a thunderclap. Every nerve in my body was on fire, screaming for me to do something. Anything. Panic clouded my thoughts, but somewhere within the chaos, a flicker of resolve ignited. I needed to fight back. Trapped in this decrepit tomb with a monstrosity that seemed to relish my fear, I couldn't simply wait for fate to decide my end. Gripping the rusted pipe tighter, I glanced around for anything else to use. Old furniture loomed like forgotten ghosts, but there wasn't time to sift through the detritus. The door creaked ominously, groaning under the weight of whatever was trying to force its way inside. With my heart pounding, I turned back to the door, adrenaline coursing through my veins. I'm not afraid of you, I shouted, trying to mask the tremor in my voice. It felt like a foolish boast, yet I hoped to buy myself a moment of distraction. The creature paused, its laughter trickling through my thoughts like icy water. Not afraid, it crooned, voice slipping through the threshold like smoke. The sound slithered into the corners of my mind. Wouldn't you like to know what fear looks like? The light flickered again, plunging me into nearly complete darkness. My heart raced, and as the shadows thickened, I realized I had to act now. Swinging the pipe, I hit the door like I was trying to fight my way out. The impact sent a shockwave through my arm, but the door barely budged. Let us have some real fun, the creature taunted, and I heard scratching at the door, furious and unyielding. I could picture its claws slicing through the wood, and panic grew roots deep within me. What would happen if it got in? Would I be another lost soul? Another story whispering through the walls of this cursed building? I searched the room again, desperate now. When I noticed it, a small, grimy window at the far end, hidden behind a rotten beam. It was my only chance. I rushed toward it, my feet pounding against the cold concrete floor. Just as I reached the window, the door splintered with a deafening crack, the force sending splinters flying. With trembling hands, I shoved my body against the window frame, praying for it to give. I could feel the presence close behind me, a weight that bore down as the air thickened. My lungs felt like they were on fire as I grunted, pushing harder. The glass seemed to resist my urge to escape, but then, finally, with a sharp protest, it yielded. I tumbled through, hitting the ground hard. Pain shot through my side, but I couldn't stop. I scrambled to my feet, glancing back at the room I had just escaped. Dark shapes loomed at the window, the creature's head poking through the broken frame, eyes alight with sinister delight. "Run while you still can," it hissed, its breath a chill that swept through the night. I didn't need to be told twice. I dashed down the overgrown path leading away from the building, adrenaline driving me forward. But as I ran, the sinister laughter followed, echoing in mockery. The forest loomed ahead, shadowy and unfathomable, but it felt safer than that cursed structure. Then, as I moved deeper into the trees, I felt an unsettling chill on my neck, like icy fingers tracing my spine. What if it wasn't done with me yet? I glanced behind, expecting to see its twisted silhouette, but instead, all I saw was the faint glow of the building. The shadows danced along the walls as if bidding farewell to a would-be victim. But the night was not over, and the darkness seemed alive, watching, waiting. And then I heard it again, a soft whispering carried on the wind, weaving through the trees. "You can't run forever." The air around me grew heavy. My escape might just be the beginning of the nightmare. As the trees closed in on me, I sprinted forward into the unknown, the weight of terror gripping my heart. What would I find in the depths of this chilling wilderness? What else lurked in the darkness beyond the skinwalker? Branches whipped at my face as I plunged deeper into the woods, each thud of my heartbeat echoing the dread coiling in my chest. The swirling darkness made me feel as if the trees themselves were leaning closer, pressing in, a twisted audience to my flight. With every rustle behind me, my mind painted scenarios more horrific than the last. What if it was right behind me, just waiting for the perfect moment to strike? I couldn't afford to look back, not now, not when I needed to run. Focusing on my escape, I pushed myself faster, trying to drown out the whispered laughter creeping through the air. The earth beneath my feet was uneven, roots protruding like skeletal fingers, eager to trip me up. A sharp pain jolted through my ankle as I stumbled over a hidden root, but I stifled a yelp and forced myself up again. I couldn't give in to the fear whispering that the creature was inching closer. "Stay calm," I urged myself, though the tremor in my voice betrayed me. I needed a plan, a distraction, a weapon. My mind raced through possibilities, but nothing felt right, nothing felt safe. Panic surged through me. Then, I remembered the stories. Local legends about the woods were filled with figures that could perform dark magic, skinwalkers with power beyond comprehension. I had dismissed them at the time, thinking them silly tales meant to scare children. Now they felt like cold reality wrapped around me, squeezing. The laughter rang out once more, this time closer, much closer. I could feel the shadow stretching behind me, clawing at my back. It was playing with me, a cat toying with its prey. Then I spotted a clearing ahead, moonlight filtering through the trees, illuminating a small pond with water, so still it mirrored the sky. I rushed toward it, desperate to hide. The water might shield me, perhaps confuse the creature for long enough to regain my breath. Crouching behind a thick cluster of bushes, I watched the edge of the trees for movement. My heart thundered in my ears, but as I glimpsed the pond, a flash of silver caught my eye. An image reflected back my own terrified face. But behind it, something shifted, a shadow darker than the night itself flickering just out of view. The soft rustle of leaves made my breath hitch as I noticed a shape gliding between the trees, too smooth, too silent. Then it stopped, tilting its head as if sniffing the air. Terror coiled around my heart, tightening each second it lingered. I couldn't breathe. The sight of that thing, so close yet hidden, twisted my stomach in knots. Was it watching me? My throat was dry, and in that moment, I knew I had to decide hide here like a coward or confront the darkness. Just as my resolve began to waver, the creature turned, revealing its ghastly fangs glinting under the moonlight. It smiled, jagged and wide, eyes locked onto mine, filled with an insatiable hunger. "Are you ready to find out what fear looks like?" It growled, voice thick with malice. With no time left to think, I dashed into the pond, the icy water shocking my senses as I flung myself under the surface. The murky depths enveloped me, blocking out the sound and allowing a moment of peace. The faint vibrations of movement above sent waves into the water. But could I really escape? As I held my breath, I pondered how long could I linger beneath the surface before fate found me again? The tension hung thick as I fought the urge to surface. Was I merely postponing the inevitable, or was I biding my time for a chance to confront the absolute terror that had clung to me that night? Suddenly, a violent splash above broke my concentration. The creature had found me. No more time to hide. What would I do now? Would I finally face it, or would I drown in this wretched game of survival? I felt the rush of adrenaline surge through me as I shot to the surface, lungs screaming for air. The cool water around me felt like ice, every second stretching painfully. My heart raced, thumping like a war drum, drowning out the hungry whispers from above. I broke the surface, gasping, eyes darting toward the edge of the pond. It was there, hovering, just out of reach but close enough to feel the weight of its gaze. Its teeth glistened under the moonlight, and there was no mistaking the glint of madness in its eyes. The smile widened again, stretching impossibly wider, as if it savored my fear. I couldn't stay in the water. I needed to move. Survival instincts kicked in, and I propelled myself toward the bank, water splashing around me like shards of glass. As soon as my feet hit the muddy shore, I sprang forward, slipping but managing to stay on my feet. Behind me, the creature let out a low, mocking chuckle, the sound echoing through the stillness of the woods. I ran again, mud splattering up my legs, heart pounding in a frantic rhythm. The laughter faded, but its hungry presence remained, lurking like a predator. The shadows around me shifted, as if they had a life of their own, reaching out for me, beckoning me closer. The forest closed in as I sprinted deeper, branches slicing at my skin, the scent of damp earth mingling with something foul and decayed. Panic surged, and I stumbled not from roots this time but from what felt like a sudden fog wrapping around my mind. Think, I muttered, grounding myself in the moment, but all I could do was run. Memories flashed through my mind, stories of those who ventured into these woods and never returned, tales of skinwalkers who wore the skin of their prey, transforming them into nightmares. Were they tracking me? Did they smell my fear? Then, I spotted a weathered cabin peeking through the trees, its silhouette ominous against the starless sky. I wouldn't outrun it. My breath hitched. The choice was hard but clear. The cabin could be a trap, but it also offered hope. Steeling myself, I rushed toward the door, its frame crooked and unwelcoming. I tried the handle, it was locked. A jolt of panic surged. The creature could be right behind me. With a hard kick, the door gave way, creaking open as I stumbled inside, the stench of mildew wrapping around me like a suffocating blanket. Once inside, darkness enveloped me. I fought to keep my breath steady, every sound magnified in the stillness. I could hear the wind howling and wild creatures outside while an icy dread spread through my bones. I crept through the cabin, wary of splintered floorboards and the shadows that clung close to the corners. Then I found a rusted axe, almost buried under old, rotting wood. My pulse raced as I gripped the handle, the weight reassuring in my hands. I was ready to defend myself, to face whatever horror loomed outside. Suddenly, the door swung open behind me with a crash, and there it was. The creature stood tall in the doorway, backlit in a sickly hue from the moon. "Did you really think you could hide?" purred, voice dripping with malice. Panic erupted in my chest. I had to fight. The cabin may have been my refuge, but it felt like a cage now. There was no escaping, it had come for me, and I was about to find out just how much darkness could grow in the hearts of men and beasts. With the axe raised above my head, I took a deep breath, ready for the confrontation. The monster's laughter echoed through the cabin as it stepped closer, and that fanged grin twisted into a challenge. What horrific truths would reveal themselves in this battle of wills? Would I finally uncover the secret behind the Skinwalker, or would I become its next victim? The creature's shadow elongated as it stepped fully into the cabin, its presence like a creeping fog mixing with the stale air. My grip tightened around the axe's rusty handle, knuckles white, heart hammering against my ribcage. It had an unsettling beauty, shimmering skin like polished stone, eyes swirling with an abyss of hunger. Such spirit, it crooned, tilting its head like it was studying a curious insect. But that won't save you, little dear. Each word dripped with mockery, adding to the suffocating tension. I shoved one foot back instinctively, ready to pivot. But where could I go? The walls closed in like a trap, and a chill ran down my spine as the door creaked behind me, swinging slowly closed. Don't bother. The creature's voice slid like ice into my ears. You can't escape me. With a snarl, it lunged forward, faster than I could comprehend. I swung the axe, a desperate arc of metal cutting through the stale air, but it slid away, barely nicking its side. The creature laughed, the sound resonating in my bones. It was toying with me, its movement fluid, almost playful, like a cat with its prey. I ducked, narrowly avoiding a clawed hand that swept through the space I'd just occupied. Fear ignited a fire in my veins. I had to get out. Struggling to focus, I scanned the cabin, searching for anything that could give me the edge. The scattered furniture was old, but in this moment, despair turned into resolve. I could use the environment to my advantage. I took a step back to the window, heart racing. The creature recoiled slightly, momentarily puzzled, eyes cutting from me to the glass. In that split second, I hurled the axe toward the wall opposite, where Splintered would beg to be freed. The axe thudded into the wall, and the creature's attention shifted, giving me just enough time to dart toward the window. Adrenaline fueled my limbs as I climbed awkwardly onto a rickety chair and shoved against the frame, desperate fingers grasping for anything to hold. The sharp sound of wood cracking filled the air as I pulled with all my might. The window rattled violently, but I refused to give up, teeth gritted. Just as the glass shattered and daylight began filtering through, the creature lunged again, invigorated by the scent of my fear. It roared, an animalistic war cry that sent uninvited chills dancing down my spine. As a claw grazed my shoulder, tearing through skin like a hot knife through butter, I gasped in pain, but the urgency to escape overwhelmed my senses. That I dove through the broken window, glass biting into my skin, and hit the ground rolling. Pain flared up my arm, but I didn't stop. I scrambled up, ignoring the searing agony as I pushed myself forward, muscles screaming at me to pause, to rest. But there was no time for rest. I could hear the creature crashing through the cabin, furious at my escape. It would come, it would follow. The woods were thick around me, shadows dancing as the trees whispered their secrets. With a quick glance back, I saw it, its eyes ablaze with fury and hunger, emerging from the wreckage of the cabin like a nightmare made flesh. Run! I urged myself now more than ever, the instinct to survive overshadowing everything else. As I sprinted deeper into the woods, breath coming in ragged gasps, I wondered, how do I kill something that seems to know my every move? I had stepped into a twisted game, a nightmare I couldn't comprehend. Every shadow felt like a sinister gaze, every crackle of leaves a promise of pursuit. What would I have to sacrifice to survive? And could I find a way to turn the tables on a creature that thrived on fear? The answer lay ahead, cloaked in darkness with danger lurking just beyond sight. Branches whipped against my face as I plunged deeper into the shadows of the forest. The creature's growls echoed behind me, reverberating off ancient trees like a warning bell, taunting me with its proximity. I could sense it, a predator intent on playing with its prey. My shoulder throbbed. Blood oozed down my arm, adding weight to the panic already gathering in my chest. I pushed myself harder, heart racing as I tried to put distance between us. Every footfall felt like a heartbeat, a countdown to when it would catch me. Suddenly, the ground beneath me shifted. I stumbled, my foot twisting in a gnarled root, crashing to the ground, a breath knocked out of my lungs. No, no, I gasped, desperate to regain my footing. I barely paused to gather myself. With shaky hands, I pushed up and took off again, the weight of mortality hanging heavy in the air. An eerie stillness settled momentarily, as if the woods themselves were holding their breath, waiting for the inevitable hunt to resume. Then, a snapping of twigs. I wasn't alone. A flicker of movement to my left drew my gaze. For a fleeting moment, I thought I saw something dart between the trees, something that didn't seem like the creature pursuing me. My heart raced even faster. What if it was another of its kind? Or something worse? But there was no time for curiosity. I had to keep moving. I veered right, trying to divert my path. As I cut through the underbrush, my mind raced with ideas. Hiding seemed futile. The creature was relentless. A relentless tide destined to wash me away. What would give me an edge? I spotted a narrow path leading through a thicket. It looked risky, but what options did I have? I dashed into it, squeezing past thorns that clawed at my skin. I focused on my breathing, quiet as I could manage, listening for telltale signs of my pursuer's proximity. The trail opened up into a small clearing bathed in moonlight. My eyes widened as I took in the odd sight before me, a tangle of stone remnants and debris, the spill of an ancient structure long forgotten. The walls were covered in dark moss, half buried in the earth, an uninviting phantasm of lost history. I hesitated, sensing the whispers of the past bleed into the night. This could be my sanctuary or my grave. The sudden rustling behind me shattered my thoughts. I jumped, whirling around just as the creature burst into the clearing, its form a dark blur against the ethereal brightness of the moonlight. My breath caught in my throat. With no time left to weigh my options, I dashed toward an overgrown archway at the edge of the ruins. I slipped inside, adrenaline coursing through my veins as I found myself in a tiny alcove, concealed behind crumbling stone. The air was damp and cold, but the shadows welcomed me. I held my breath, praying my heartbeat wouldn't give me away. The creature prowled near, its snarls reverberating off the walls. Then a chill ran down my spine. I could feel it. It was changing, shifting. The hunger in its voice faded, replaced by a slow, calculating tone. "Where are you, little dear?" it called, almost sweetly, like it was luring me out of hiding. "You can't hide forever." I clenched my fists against the cold stone, heart pounding. The sound of claws scraping against the walls made the hairs on my neck stand on end. I closed my eyes. Could I really outsmart such a creature? Would it understand its own past? Or was it bound by primal instinct? In that moment of silence, a memory surfaced. Something the locals whispered scared me to even think about. Skinwalkers, they had said, are beings that can imitate the form and voice of others. The realization hit me hard. If it could become what it desired, who else would it pretend to be to find me? I couldn't let it know I was here. But what if this ancient place held the key to my survival or my end? The air grew thick with tension. I pressed myself back against the stone, breathing low and quiet. The night was far from over, and I was still prey in a world that had become hunter and hunted. What awaited me in those shadowed depths? And could I muster the strength to confront the truth waiting within? The darkness wrapped around me like a suffocating blanket. I tried to steady my breath, but the air felt thick as dread settled in my gut. The creature prowled just beyond my hiding place, its low growls echoing against the stone walls, taunting me with a sinister rhythm. Each scrape of its claws sent a jolt through my body, a reminder that my time was running out. Tension built within me. I couldn't just wait for it to find me. I needed a plan, a way to turn the tables. I strained to listen, hoping for any signs of weakness in its movements. Its voice slithered into the alcove again, seductive yet chilling. "Oh, little dear, if you only knew how easy it would be. I could bring you back to safety. If you just come out." I pressed my palms against the jagged stone, digging my nails into the cold surface. It was trying to bait me, to lure me out with false promises. My mind raced, what if it was right? What if I ventured out and it transformed into someone I knew? But what if it didn't? I couldn't shake the idea. Fear warred with desperation. I needed to gather courage, to find a way past this horror. The stone felt sturdy beneath me, and I began to focus on the surroundings, scanning for anything that could be a weapon or an escape route. Then, a soft noise pierced the tension footsteps approaching the ruins. My heart dropped. Was it the creature? Or could it be someone else? I tried to peer through the shadows, hoping to glimpse whatever or whoever was nearing. The footsteps quickened, synchronized with my rising panic. Help! I wanted to scream, but no words would come. I swallowed hard, heart hammering as the dark forms twisted into view. Shadows danced beneath the moonlight, blurring the line between the living and the entities that haunted this place. The footsteps grew closer, unmistakably urgent. An outline stepped into the clearing. Familiar and yet distant, a figure I recognized from countless memories. I know you're here. Please, the voice called out, a sharp blend of concern and terror. You have to move. My heart tore in two. It wasn't he, the skinwalker, but how could I be sure? Silent images rushed through my mind. Were these mere echoes of past memories? Or had the skinwalker truly transformed into someone I loved? I locked my jaw, fighting the urge to respond, to trust the voice reaching out to me. The creature sensed the hesitation. Are you listening to it? Spat, mocking. What a sweet little charade. Just a trick of memory, darling. His voice twisted, venomous. And you still think you're safe in the dark? My resolve weakened. The instinct to escape was being countered by an oppressive fear, a primal urge that threatened to consume me. I gritted my teeth, trying to fight through the confusion. Where was the line between friend and foe? In an instant, the air shifted, a flood of noise. The figure pushed through the underbrush, scrambling to reach me. I couldn't hold back any longer. No, I shouted, treating the shadows with hostility. A primal scream erupted from my throat, puncturing the veil of silence. The creature paused, sensing my shift in demeanor. The moment was crucial. I bolted from the alcove, fueled by raw adrenaline, my instincts singing to escape, to find clarity. Uncertainty hung thick like fog, but I had no time to think. I sprinted towards the moonlit pathway, praying for the truth to manifest itself. Behind me, the growls morphed into a frenzy, furious, ensnared in the sudden chaos of pursuit. I took a glance back just as the figure coalesced into a shape I recognized, a moment of betrayal and realization washing over me. Who was I really running to, and who was really chasing me? Just as the culmination of dread settled in my heart, a scream ripped through the night, a scream that didn't belong to me. Was this the end of my story, or just the beginning of another twisted chapter? The night air felt electric as I sprinted into the moonlight, the weight of uncertainty pushing down on my chest. I could still hear the familiar voice pleading, but the growls were louder now, more furious, trailing me like a shadow, hungry and relentless. My feet pounded against the earth, but a voice inside my head screamed to stop. Turning back could cost me everything. Fear gripped my throat, thick and suffocating. I didn't dare look around, not wanting to see what would be waiting behind me if I did. Trusting my instincts, I veered off the path and ducked into a narrow crevice between two ancient stones, hoping it would mask my scent. The growls faded momentarily, muffled by the jagged edges salting my palms as I pressed against the cold rock. I strained to listen, heart pounding a chaotic rhythm in my ears. The figure, the voice, memories flooded back, drowning me, laughter shared and secrets whispered. But what if it was all a ruse? What if they weren't true? A rustling sound broke the tension, and I almost jumped out of my skin. My breaths were quieted, inaudible, but deep inside me, panic stirred again. I squinted into the dark and saw movement, a silhouette off in the distance, steps stumbling over roots and brambles. Panic clawed at me, desperate to understand. Is anyone there? The figure rasped, a voice I recognized calling into the void. My heart quickened. Could it be? Jack? I whispered, barely audible, as though the name alone could draw him closer. Please, I need you to come out. His appeal was shaky, threaded with fear and urgency. It's not safe here. We have to leave. But doubt gnawed at me. Was it truly him? Why should I believe it now? The creature's presence lurked behind me, its bitter laughter ricocheting through the air, merging with Jack's voice, creating a festering illusion of chaos. Don't listen, it hissed, its voice slithering into my thoughts. You're alone, beloved. Always alone. I squeezed my eyes shut, head spinning. How could I choose when both of them called out for me? A sudden rustle sent shockwaves through me. I swung my gaze back toward the pathway, and there it was, the skinwalker emerging from the shadows, its form a hideous blend of familiar and grotesque. It wearing my sister's face, a snake of a smile curling on its lips. Now. Just think, child, it crooned, the voice mocking, familiar yet decidedly wrong. You could have someone who truly cares. I can keep you safe, away from all this madness. The eyes, however, those were not my sister's eyes. They were empty, devoid of soul, just hollows of darkness. My chest tightened. Mia, please. Jack's voice broke through the cacophony, desperate. For a moment, my heart swelled with resolve. I stepped out of my hiding place, breathing deeply, shaking off the chains of fear. I'll fight you, I shouted, words fueled by an intense mix of sorrow and anger. Leave us alone. The creature snarled, face distorting, failing to hold onto the borrowed form. In a flash, it lunged at Jack, no longer holding back. Run! I screamed, my voice echoing amidst the chaos as everything fell apart before me. With adrenaline pumping, I turned and bolted deeper into the forest, branches clawing at my skin, as the sounds of conflict raged behind me. Every instinct screamed at me to flee, but a question clawed at my mind. What if Jack needed me? What if I was making a terrible mistake? Panic flooded in again, heart racing, as I plunged into the labyrinth of trees hiding from the truth. The only thing clearer was that I wasn't alone in the dark anymore, and the true horror was just starting to unfold. The night whispered promises of betrayal and hope, but which was which? I couldn't shake the feeling that something worse was lurking ahead, waiting to claw its way to the surface. The trees closed in as Mia raced through the underbrush, breathless and terrified, her side burning with the pain of her battered body. She could hear the echoes of the skinwalker chasing Jack, the creature's relentless growls ripping through the night, a vicious testament to its strength. Determined, but her heart ached for Jack. Was he still fighting? Did she abandon him too soon? Cloaked in doubt, she pressed deeper into the shadows. The forest thickened, branches slashing at her like angry hands. Each snap echoed ominously, mirroring her rising panic. Frantically, she scanned her surroundings, searching for any sign of safety or refuge. The air felt heavy, laden with an impending disaster, and she could almost sense the creature closing in, hunting her as much as Jack. Suddenly, she stumbled into a clearing, moonlight cascading down like a beacon through the distorted canopy above. It was serene yet eerie, an unsettling calm that filled her with dread. In the center lay an old stone altar, ancient and moss-covered, whispering of lost rituals and forgotten histories. Without thinking, she sprinted towards it. Mia, over here. Jack's voice broke through the chorus of chaos, and her heart swelled with hope. She turned, eyes wide, and saw him emerge from the darkness, panting, bruised but alive. Relief rushed through her. The skinwalker wasn't right behind him. They had a moment, their moment. Jack, we need to move, she shouted, motioning wildly for him to come closer. No, stay hidden, he called back urgently, eyes wide with fear and desperation. Mia, it's using me, my voice. The ground shook as the skinwalker burst into view, its form shifting grotesquely between its true self and the twisted mockery of Jack's sister. Look who we have here, it hissed, voice dripping with malice, fueling the chaos surrounding them. That's right, Mia, come closer. Why would you listen to him when you can have what you truly want? I want the truth, she shouted defiantly. You're not him. You'll never be him. Such a brave little deer, it cackled, revealing jagged teeth. But I can be your safety, your comfort. Just as it lunged, Mia acted, her heart pounding as she grabbed a jagged stone from the altar. She could feel her breath hitch, but there was no time for fear. She swung the stone with all her might, connecting with the skinwalker's shoulder. A howl of pain echoed through the clearing, the creature stumbling back, eyes flaring with rage. Mia, now run, Jack urged, his own eyes flicking toward the side, worried about the creature regaining balance. It was a brief moment to act. Together, they darted deeper into the forest, abandoning the clearing as cries of fury reverberated behind them. The night air, thick with terror, filled their lungs as they pressed on. Laughter followed, taunting and cruel, curling around the branches like smoke. Mia, Jack called out, determination stealing his voice. We need to get to the road. It's our only chance. Adrenaline surged, and Mia nodded, startled to feel strength returning. They ran with fiery determination, but the shadows morphed behind them as the skinwalker pursued, its twisted form a dark silhouette against the moonlight. Stay close, Jack shouted as they dodged branches, feet pounding against the earth. They could hear the skinwalker's growls, relentless and furious, fueling their survival instincts. Suddenly, the forest began to thin. Through the trees, a glimmer of light appeared. There, the road, Mia gasped, a rush of hope flooding her. But just as they burst through the last of the trees, the skinwalker materialized, blocking their path with feral grace. Did you really think you could escape me? It taunted, eyes burning with relentless hunger. We'll fight, Jack declared, stepping protectively in front of Mia, even as he trembled. There was no turning back now. Fighting is futile, the skinwalker hissed, stepping closer. You can't kill what isn't alive. But they weren't without weapons of their own. The light flashing from the road transformed the moment. Mia shifted tactics. In a split second, she reached for the dirt beneath her feet, grabbing handfuls of the earth and flinging them into the creature's face. Its surprised growl morphed into a shriek of rage, blind and adaptively pained. It staggered back, swiping at the dirt that clung to its eyes like venom. Now, Jack roared, seizing Mia's arm as they dashed toward the road. They raced ahead, the soft glow of safety beckoning. The skinwalker's furious howls echoed behind them, but they refused to look back. They hit the asphalt, the weight of exhaustion finally settling in, but adrenaline drove them forward. Keep going, Jack urged as they sprinted down the edge, the sound of footsteps pounding closer. They had to find someone, anything to help them escape. When they finally reached what felt like the end of the road, a pair of headlights swept over them, illuminating a figure dressed in uniform. Relief flooded Mia like a wave. Stop right there, the police officer shouted, stepping out of the squad car as Mia and Jack stumbled towards him, gasping for breath. I can't breathe, Mia panted, the weight of the ordeal crashing down. They turned to look back, the darkness empty behind them, the skinwalker's cries fading into the night as they collapsed on the side of the road. Trembling and alive, Mia wrapped her arms around Jack. We did it, she exclaimed in disbelief. It's over, Jack whispered, holding her tightly as relief washed over them. But even through their victory, a whisper weaved through the trees, reminding them, you can't run forever. In that fleeting moment, judgment settled in the forest. The shadows would linger. Though they escaped, the reality remained. Darkness was always watching, weaving stories of its own, and sometimes, it returned for more to those who discovered this tale. Remember, violence and darkness exist everywhere. Stay vigilant, tell your stories, and most importantly, look out for one another. And now, if you don't want to miss another story like this, you need to subscribe immediately. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help keep our community alive. Flood the comments with your reactions. What did you think of the ending? What do you theorize about the Skinwalker and its ominous warnings? Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting our channel through these actions.